I am down to the last details of my room, but I wanted to give you guys a little tour of the room. First, I need to set up my bookcase. So we added some wallpaper to the back of the bookcase, which I'll show you in just a second. I really love the way it turned out, but now I've got to put everything back into it. So I was gonna kind of go through and tell you how I set up my bookcase and give you a couple tips on how to do your very own bookcase. So here's our bookcase. We decided to go ahead and do this constellation wallpaper in the back and then match the paint for the front. I love the way that the gold just kind of makes it pop and just adds a little interest to it. But now we gotta put the stuff back on it. So I've kind of gone through and sorted all the different things that used to be on the bookcase. A couple things will not make it back, but I just kind of want to give you some tips on how to set up and arrange your own bookcase. So since we have the gold in the wallpaper that we're using in the back of the bookcase, I decided I was going to use some gold and some brass accents kind of throughout the bookcase. So I grabbed a few of our favorite pictures and just put them in a variety of different gold frames. And then I also found some really fun geometric mirrors. So these mirrors were really, really inexpensive. I found them at IKEA, and I think they'll be a really nice addition to the bookcase and just kind of bring a little light to it, because they're pretty dark. Now I also have a lot of things that are very personal to us, and I'm a big believer in your bookcases need to represent your family. Like, I don't want to just have something on a shelf just because it looks pretty. Like, I want it to look pretty and to be meaningful. That's not to say that I don't include pretty things, but I like a majority of the items on my bookshelf to be significant to my family. So since I am a photographer, I have been collecting vintage cameras for quite some time. So I have a bunch of different vintage cameras. This is a darkroom safe light so that you can use this in a dark room without damaging your images. My husband is an electrician, so we have these little vintage insulators that I'll include. And then, of course, one of my favorite pieces, that's my bust of Elvis that I got from my good friend Katie as a wedding present, and I still love it. And it's a little music box, but Elvis will be on my bookcase. So as you can see, I've got all of these little dividers so that there's just these little pockets of the shelf. And so the way that I'm going to approach this is each one gets its own little scene. So the whole thing will work as a whole design, but within each little cubicle, I guess you can call it, each little section is going to have its own little display. So I'll show you what I mean. So one thing as I'm gathering all the items going on my bookshelf is I also think about the colors. So colors, for example, in my furniture, in the cushions, just any of the colors that I'm using in the room. And so I try to find some books that have those colors in them, or just kind of have the look and feel that I'm going for. But for example, the fabric that I picked out for my pillows has a lot of gold and green and even this kind of orangey color. And then I've got a nice vintage camera to go in here. And I need Elvis, hold on. Love him, my main man. Oh yeah, I just kissed Elvis. My son right now is like, oh my gosh, cringe, my mom just kissed Elvis. Kiss him even more. I've got Elvis here, which makes me very happy. I go to a lot of estate sales and buy vintage books quite a bit because I just think they're so beautiful. And so when it came to doing this bookcase, it was not hard for me to come across books that were the colors that I needed. I like this book at an angle. I'm gonna scoot you down just a little bit, buddy. There we go. Let's bring you to the front. Let the world see that fabulous face. Okay, so I've got these books up. I'm just gonna take one of my little vintage cameras. I think I like it centered. So there's that one, but I think I wanted to put a picture in here. Hold on. Look at these babies. Corey and I's engagement picture. So it's small, it's in a little vintage frame. Perfect. So this shelf, almost done, hold on. There we go. Done. One down, 19 to go. All right, I'm gonna speed this up for you so that you don't have to watch a very slow process. But as I do each shelf, I just wanted to point out real fast, they're gonna be vintage books because it's a bookshelf. And then something that's significant to me or another member of my family, and maybe a picture. I don't want to put pictures on all of them because I don't want to do this exact same type of setup, but there will be pictures kind of spread out throughout the bookcase. So let's get to this. So this shelf, actually, this is a photograph of my husband's family. And this is a really, really old photograph. Let's see if I can get it to where the glare is not on this. There we go. This is a really old photograph. This is actually his great-grandmother is the baby in this picture. So I decided I would put this camera, which is also very, very old, which would be very similar to the type of camera that would have taken that picture. Went ahead and matched that up with it, and then these bottles were given to me by my father-in-law, and he found these vintage bottles just on different job sites that he had done around town. So I cleaned those up a little bit, and now they're on the family shelf. Now I do jump around a little bit, so this is the opposite end of the room. Okay, so very far side, but the reason that I want to go ahead and jump over here is so that I can kind of play with the weight of things. I want them to feel balanced. And since one of the objects that I have is a little bit heavier, I definitely want to put it on this side. This is one of my favorite pictures with Owen. Just us being absolute goofballs. All right, so this one needs a stack of books to go under that picture. So another thing I like to do is I like to find books that kind of also tell the story of this little section. And so I have the story of modern art, beach music because our picture is on the beach, modern poetry, and the tradition. So that's more of a, I like the color. But I'm also including the fart dictionary. Sorry, Mom, I know that that's the original F word we're not supposed to say, but this is the funniest book. And it's kind of hidden in here. People don't really notice it until they really start looking at your bookcase. But Owen and I will know that it's there. Okay, another section done. So here's the fart dictionary. So if I'm ever filming with this as a backdrop, you'll always know this little yellow spine next to this camera is a fart dictionary. So I know you can't see my head, but that's okay. I'm right here. So all of these books, whenever I go to, I'll just lower myself down. So I'm squatting right now. So whenever I go to an estate sale, I try to find things, when I'm going, especially when I'm going through older books, I try to find things that, like photography books, electrical books, woodworking books, books that are beautiful, and books that are significant to us, that mean something to us. So this is an entire collection of electrical books. Some of them are Corey's old books from studying to be an electrician. And so I'm gonna put these with the little insulators so it all makes sense and they just go together. This is a this is a cast of my foot. So when I was in art school, I made my foot and painted it, and it's kind of a gray glaze, so it looks a little bit like a zombie foot, but I love my foot. I have it painted the toenails. I know it's kind of creepy, but it's also really, really funny. And I think that it's really funny to put some unexpected things throughout your house for people to see. And, you know, just for a laugh. But I thought it'd be really funny to put them on top of Corey's books. So there's my foot. In college, I had it actually as the foot on one of my couch legs. So it was just, there was like regular couch legs and then there was just one that had a foot. It was kind of funny. These are some of my favorite childhood books. Big Shel Silverstein fan, so we've got Where the Sidewalk Ends and The Giving Tree, and then the book The Sign on Rosie's Door, which a good friend of mine, Ben, gave to me, I believe it was junior high that I got that one. He said, "Molly, I believe you remind me of really Rosie. I know you won't grow up and I love you for it. Ben." This is such a good book. Anyway, so this is one of my favorites. So I'm gonna put Baby Jack on that. And then just a little mirror to add a little sparkle. So everything I put on these lower shelves, I have to be okay with Baby Jack getting to it because he gets into this stuff. So that's why I keep all of the breakable things up higher, and even this shelf where the couch is gonna be, I have to be real careful. I can't put anything that I'm gonna be devastated if he breaks it on this shelf. Big believer in adding some greenery to every room, but especially to your bookcase. So succulents are great because you don't have to water them quite as often, and I tend to forget to water mine often enough. Okay, so our couch actually goes in front of these 4 bottom shelves. So I'm not putting anything there because 1, it's just more stuff for me to dust around, and 2, no one's gonna see it. So I feel like what's the point? But the very bottom shelves, I have 2 baskets that I put some things in that I am gonna put on those shelves. Thank you guys for following along. Thank you for supporting me and my channel, and I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll see you next time. Bye.